Joining me live now is Australian Council of Social Service Chief Executive, Dr. Cassandra Goldie. Cassandra, thank you so much for your time. So why isn't that $340 per week for youth allowance and Oz Study enough?
Well, Jack, look, this is a really important issue. We start the new year with lots of young people who are planning their future. They want to see hope, they want to see opportunity. This youth allowance payment is the one that provides support for young people from low-income families to be involved in education and training, or to be out there trying to get their first job often. So it's a really key payment, but it's woefully inadequate. It's 36% of the minimum wage. The increase today is about indexation, so it's to take into account what we know has happened to, dramatic increases in rents, in food, in lots of essentials of life, but it amounts to less than $1 a day, this increase. So the payment is going to be now $338 per week. It equates to about $17,000 plus per year. It's just unbearable to try and survive on that. It causes enormous stress for young people. We're hearing a lot from universities who are providing food banks for students. The University of Tasmania recently investigated this issue and found that over 50% of the students enrolled there were experiencing food insecurity. So it's a really big problem. We want to see this payment go up much more. I'm a member of the government's Independent Economic Inclusion Advisory Committee, and for the last 3 years we've delivered a report to the federal government as our top recommendation, urging the increase to youth allowance and also job seeker.
So let's get specific here. What exactly should it be increased to?
Well, look, as the Chief Executive Officer of Australian Council of Social Service, we've done a lot of work. We recommend this payment should go up to at least 60% of the minimum wage. That would equate it to about $590 per week, which would be a similar rate to other pensions. Now, this is not a generous payment. It would still be in the order of the poverty line, but at least it would lift students up to something where you could have some confidence that you'd be able to feed yourself 3 times a day, and that you would be able to cover the costs of modest rent. But at the moment, the payment means that if you're on youth allowance, there's nowhere affordable for you to live anywhere in Australia when it comes to renting. The Anglicare Australia's report just last year confirmed that there's nowhere affordable if you're a young person on youth allowance now, if you're renting.
It's very common for young people, of course, to be in share houses, and we're talking about youth allowance, so these are young people aged 16 to 24. And of course, there's a counter argument here that the payment is only meant to be kind of a top-up for students so they can work less. What do you say to that argument that this payment is offset by paid employment?
Well, of course, students are desperately trying to keep a roof over their head, so they are in paid work. About 70% of students relying on this payment are in other forms of paid work as well. But if you're wanting to be involved in full-time study or to invest in your education and training, there's only so much paid work you're able to do. We are very worried about how students now are at breaking point because they're trying to earn money to feed themselves. Many of them are working too much. It's causing enormous stress to them. They're not able to attend the classes or to participate in the kind of education training on an equal basis or an equitable basis with students who come from higher income families. I mean, Jack, that's the issue here. We know that this is a payment that affects low income students who come from lower income families, who don't have families who can afford to cover the cost of their rent or to help out with their student fees or the extra costs of life that just happen when you get sick, for example. And so we are very worried that this payment now is so low that it's meaning that students from lower income families are just dropping out of study. In fact, the budget papers show that the government itself is predicting a continuing decline in the number of people receiving youth allowance, and that says to us something very disturbing, which is that we've got far too many young people from low income families who are saying, I can't afford to study, and that often means that they are dropping out, and then often that will mean they're not able to secure secure decent long-term full employment, and to have that sense of hope and opportunity that every young person should have, regardless of your background.
Of course, there's a debate here about just how much taxpayer money should be spent to help these students and how much they should be earning themselves to do it. We'll have to leave it there because we are out of time, but thank you so much for providing that insight, Dr. Cassandra Goldie. We much appreciate it.
Thanks, Jack.